Hey guys, you hear the rumor?
Hey, nice.
Guys, you hear the rumor?
Is that your Jeff Goldblum impression?
Guys, did you hear the
Was that
rumor?
him?
Yeah, I just saw that in an article.
I
couldn't
am trying
remember.
to start the podcast here. You know what? Just roll credits. Welcome back to another episode of Tripod Talk, where we talk anything and everything about films. My name's Matt Lidster. I am your host, and as always, I am joined by my sexy, wonderful co-hosts, Ms. Sophie Ellis and Mr. Delamoire.
Aye.
Hey.
Aye.
Were we
Slight
meant
roll.
to say something in response to? Did you?
Yeah, you were going to be like, what? I'd be like, oh, we're talking about Isle of Dogs and all the latest film news. You just
You
didn't.
should really put us in on that so we know what
Yeah.
we're doing.
I
It's not
thought
like
you'd
it's not
actually
like a
play
knock joke as well.
I know,
It's not a
yeah.
known thing to say what to.
You know what? No.
I thought you were just going to tell us the rumor.
Yeah.
We're talking about Isle of Dogs. I know.
What are we talking about, Matt?
We're talking about Isle of Dogs.
Sophie, you had the rumor.
What's the rumor?
We're talking about Isle of Dogs.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Are we talking about Isle of Dogs?
I think we so. I think we so.
It's funny because it's only a joke that people would get if they've seen the film. Then again, only people who have seen the film should be watching this. So, you know.
Because we are going to get into spoilery territory.
So, yeah.
Not that there's too much for this film.
No, there's not.
No.
It's more just a general vibe.
But before we do that, shall we get into some film news?
Yep.
Sure.
All right. Does anybody got any film news, or jump to?
Lead the way.
I'll lead the way. Okay. Well, I brought up some points. Like they're not really that interesting, but it was.
Great opener.
Well, no, there's some good bits, but there's also some talking points with it as well, which I wanted to bring up. So, Johnny English strikes again. The trailer for the sequel of Johnny English has just recently been dropped.
Okay.
Can I just... The trailer is just... Have you seen the other films?
Yeah. Oh,
Right,
yeah.
you know the second one, how bad that was?
Oh, yeah.
The
It
trailer...
had one great moment. The bit with the chair, where he breaks the chair that goes up and down. That's pretty hilarious.
Oh, I love that
I
bit.
should
But other than
remember
that,
it.
the second film is
You
pretty
know,
terrible.
when they're all talking with, like, is it the president? Or
Yeah,
the
there's a
Prime
lot of
Minister?
there's a
Oh
high-ranking
my
political
God, yeah.
people, and he's trying to
Yeah.
continue a serious point. Yeah, go on.
Well, as terrible as that film was, the first one, loved. The second
Yeah.
one, pretty bad. We watched the trailer, and Matt laughed at 2 different points, and I was like, really, dude? Like,
What are you laughing at?
yeah, it just seems like it's... Don't get me wrong, I love Rowan Atkinson a
What's
lot.
subtitle? Do you got a bit of background for it, or you're not really sure?
I haven't got any background on it. No, I just wanted to talk specifically about sequels that are made specifically just for sequels' sake, like damaging like Hollywood or do you know like the actual movie industry in itself. I meant to have a look at some box office numbers, but I just didn't get around to it.
Yeah.
But any sort of films like this, it just seems to. It doesn't really do anything for like the franchise or the thing they're trying to
No.
actually carry on. It just like Shrek 3. Who wants to see Shrek 2 was great.
Yeah.
But they should have stopped it there. Shrek 3 and arguably
Yeah.
Shrek 4 as well.
You can say that was a lot, I think, especially coming up, Terminator 8?
Six.
6? Oh, God, could be
Yeah.
8, I don't know.
It's been
That's
delayed.
been delayed, yeah.
No,
Sorry,
no, it is
Terminator.
Terminator 8. It's just actually come out because of the time travel.
Oh,
But,
I see. Could easily be.
Yeah, with the Johnny English 3, it's basically just them bringing him back to do a new mission and him messing it up. Very much.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
just the same stuff. I think it...
That's the same as Mission Impossible, I guess.
Yeah.
Which, again, another one's coming out of that.
I'm-
But that's like an established franchise. But then
Yeah.
again, you have to do a certain amount of sequels until you get an established franchise. So.
I'm weirdly
Yeah.
conflicted about it as well because if, average people who aren't too into the films and cinema and stuff just like get a enjoyment from watching a like basic, like we'd call it kind of a dumb, like it doesn't have any redeeming features as a piece of cinema.
Yeah.
But like if people are enjoying it and they just want to get a bit distracted for an hour and a half and watch a dumb film, then that's fine with me.
Yeah.
But then as well, there's the whole wider argument about like the damage to the industry, like you're saying, and is the fact that these sequels are being made mean that money's not getting put to interesting original ideas and
Yeah.
new creators and stuff.
I
So
have
I'm weirdly conflicted
I have
about
a
it.
beautiful segue into my next story, but I
No.
want to keep talking about this
All
for
right,
now.
cool. Save the segue.
Save the segue.
Edge of my
But,
seat.
there's a couple of other films like this coming out this year, which is the first Purge. So we're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
like
oh, God,
we're
yeah.
getting a
Prequel.
prequel to the
Ah.
Purge, which I wasn't even asked about the second one, to be honest.
No.
The one with Frank Grillo in it.
Yeah, no, I was trying to figure... Is this the third or fourth Purge?
This will
Fourth.
be the fourth.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be the fourth.
Bloody
Yeah.
hell.
which
It's a nice
Yeah.
concept originally, but,
yeah,
and it
it
hits
worked
some
as
interesting
one
like
film though. That's the thing.
Mhm.
It worked as one film, and then they just added more stuff to it that wasn't really kind of.
It worked for the second one because they shown
yeah, it's a different
sort of-
direction, wasn't it? They took
yeah,
it.
there was like rich people watching them do this because obviously they could afford to
'Cause it-
watch them and not be in danger themselves.
There's a lot you can take. Like there's a lot of different ways you could take that idea, and it could be something decent if they really went kind of you know with the direction of the intro. If as a prequel they could be interesting with it if they got into a bit about like how it actually came about and maybe a bit kind of political and stuff. But it's whether you have the faith in the people who are doing it and like like with Insidious, it lost the main cast. That's always a big concern for me.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it loses like the original directors and creators, and even
Yeah, it's like that's a whole strand in itself. Is horror films,
Like Ant-Man.
Paranormal Activity,
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
Jigsaw, which we
Mhm.
just recently saw.
Jiggy.
Jiggy. Hey, no.
Right, basically,
No.
just to fill you in on this, we watched Spy Kids 1, 2, 3. Not
Yeah.
my choice, Matt's, obviously.
yeah.
And who was it in the wheelchair?
She called Ricardo Montalban. He said that it looked like Tobin Bell.
From Far Out. And then I kept on saying
None of these words are making sense to me.
You know the grandpa.
I know who he is. I went
okay.
Tobin Bell and Far Out.
Jigsaw in Saw, the main guy. From far away, I thought that he looked pretty similar. And it
Oh.
kept on annoying Matt, so I kept on going, Jiggy, every time he came on the screen. And it just pissed him off the more I said it, even though I didn't think he did close up.
Yeah.
Watching how annoyed he got just made it.
Oh no, yeah, that's just standard things, couple behavior, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just antagonize each other.
Yeah, but
Jiggy.
not him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the
But
Saw
the
films.
inaccuracies, why is it funny to torture you with it? I get that. I've done that to a lot of people. But
But yeah, it's not just like a series of films as well. The coming up this year is Strangers 2.
Oh yeah.
And I
Although
don't
that was supposed to
understand-
be over the last couple of months, but I didn't see it get released.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought it was in a couple of months' time.
Oh, no.
Oh, at some point this year. But
Yeah.
like even with that, it was so scary the first time because it was just this couple that happened to be home and people just wanted to terrorize them.
Hmm.
And it's based on a true story. And now they've done a second one. It just seems like a bit of a money
Cash
grabber.
grab.
they do
Yeah.
the same thing with comedies as well, don't they? You know, like Daddy's Home 2 and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like it was
exactly.
one self-contained film, but because it made a ton of money, you're gonna crowbar the same people into it and just think that the reason that film worked was those people and those characters together.
And if anything, if there was going to be a film with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell in it, I would have made
Other Guys Too.
Other Guys too. Yeah, that would be a good film. But
What about, I've never seen them, but regarding, say, Pitch Perfect, I know there's 1, 2 and 3 now.
yeah,
Do you think
I've
it's
seen the
the
first
same?
one. I really like the first one.
But just because it's such like a big
Mhm.
known cast, do you think they're doing it just because of them?
See, I think there's to a certain degree it's that the cast all kind of because people you can sense like a cast really getting along and stuff, and I think there was that in the first Pitch Perfect, like they all kind of meshed together well, and that works even better with comedy. But yeah, there's definitely a level of we don't need to just make a sequel for the sake of this one earned over its return this much, and
Yeah.
people just because you had a great time on the first film doesn't mean you're going to make a second film, and you should make a second film.
yeah.
Wait to see you get a
Does
decent
anybody
script.
have any ideas right now of what they wouldn't have made? Like a bad sequel, essentially. Where they
Just
should
in
have just
general?
left it. Because the first thing that came to my mind, even though I did enjoy it, I really wish they left it alone, was Miss Congeniality too.
I never saw the second one. I didn't want to.
It was alright.
I haven't seen
Was it Sandra Bullock?
or
still?
any of them.
Yeah,
What's she doing?
yeah. She was saving her best mate again.
Oh,
Get it
Because she'd
Taken.
been
There's one.
kidnapped. Yeah.
Taken.
Taken. Yeah, exactly.
Because that like who wouldn't have guessed that premise doesn't carry very well.
Also, that film ruined Liam Neeson's career.
To a certain, because he was so beloved. Everybody loved Liam Neeson. He was like
Yeah.
like an Irish forklift dude who became like the biggest action star at 60, and now it's just this fatigue, isn't it? There's just too much.
Yeah,
of
well,
it.
he used to be a really good character actor as well. Like he used to have obviously with Oscar Schindler and Schindler's List, go ranging from that into Qui-Gon Jinn from Star Wars, and then he was in Love Actually
Lot
and
of
still
plays
really
and
good.
stuff as well,
and then
yeah.
ever since Taken, he's always taken the same roles in this authoritative figure that has
Yeah,
to be
ex-mob
brought.
guy,
Yeah, who
ex-
has to be brought back into action to save one person or whatever the situation is. I'm just like, dude, you're better than this.
Yeah,
you know what I
he
mean?
could be doing something more interesting.
Yeah.
He should be in like Oscar contending films all the time, but
Exactly,
he's just
yeah.
not. He's just not.
Or
That's
has
a good
has he
point. I
had
didn't
his
think about
time,
that.
though?
I don't know, because I think, like, you remember, all right, well, I don't want to go back to the Kevin Spacey thing, but do you remember after the Kevin Spacey thing when they recast it with Christopher Plummer?
Yeah.
Like, you could have straight away. Like, why did no one think about plugging Liam Neeson in there? Like, all of these those kind of parts for people that kind of age and stuff. No, you're not seeing Liam Neeson in the picture, really. And you don't know whether it's kind of, he's alienated or it's just, he wouldn't be believable anymore, they think, to the viewer. What with all you see Liam Neeson as is, like, elbowing people in the head and stuff.
Yeah, which that film, I believe,
There is one film that he's in recently where he's not this, like, the character that you say. I've not seen him in anything else. I think, it came out this year, The Commuter. That was the one with
That was
Vera
still
Farmiga.
relatively action, and it's just all stuff going on a train and stuff, wasn't it? Like, it's not like a driven character piece.
No, I suppose not, but...
Yeah, because I was going to say there was another one where he was in a plane doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
He's
Yeah.
just,
I've
he's
not
just
really
hitting
seen
up
him in
all public
anything.
transport. All public transport disasters Liam Neeson's going to deal with. Just get him on planes all the time. He
Him
needs
and
marshals.
tell you what, him and Samuel L. Jackson in Snakes on a Plane
There
too.
you
Now
go.
there's a sequel
Con
I'd
Air,
watch.
Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Plus, he's safer for himself on a plane as well.
I just want to finish this off with more films that I know that are coming out. Ones that we've had a bit of disdain about anyway. One you're actually looking forward to, Soph, is Hotel Transylvania 3. But it looks absolute, in Adil's words, garbo.
Oh no,
Yes.
it looks so bad. But I think that's why I want to watch it. Just because it's such a light-hearted thing where it'd just be probably just, enjoyable to watch. Not because I think it's going to be a decent film.
Well, there we go.
I
Well,
quite like
that's
the
what we were
first one.
talking
Yeah,
about before,
exactly.
though, as well. Like, sometimes just bringing sequels out for the sake of it. It's like a familiarity with certain people, because it's like, okay, we'll just watch another adventure with these guys. So maybe I'm dicking on it too much, but
Oh, I do know another one where they made a second one and they shouldn't have. But I suppose it was its own story arc. Finding Dory.
Did they make a
Yeah.
second one?
They made a...
well, Finding Nemo.
Finding
and then
Nemo, Finding
Oh, I
Dory.
see. Yeah, I thought there was a second after Dory, and I was
Oh,
like,
no.
who's lost now?
When did that become?
Yeah, I totally
When
missed
did that
that.
come out? Quick.
Did you
But-
watch Finding Dory?
Nah.
Oh my
Don't.
god. No, don't.
Oh,
I don't even really remember Finding Nemo that well. It didn't really hit, it
Dude.
didn't really hit with me that much as a kid.
Oh, wow.
It's not great.
It's amazing. Well, maybe not amazing, but it's definitely up in my top 5 of all the Disney Pixar
No.
stuff.
Top 5? Finding Nemo?
Oh, you've said something very
Maybe at
controversial
least
there.
top 10. Also, not that we're going to do this now, but I thought we could just do a fun podcast where we do like a whole competition to do with Disney Pixar films, and we'll see what gets to number 1. We do like a knockout round.
Like a bracket thing. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because that's the thing going on right now, isn't it? With like a Pixar with
Yeah.
and with the American college basketball, they do brackets, and they've done that in a load of
Oh yeah, you
context
sent us a
on the
thingy of that,
internet.
didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That
kind
was
of where
cool.
I've seen that. as
Anyway,
well.
we'll leave that.
That's probably going to irritate me doing that.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
Here's one
how
film
dare
that
you.
will irritate you,
It's
by
too
the way.
hard. Go on.
Just to finish off my
no.
Your
thingy,
sequels
yeah,
point.
Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Oh yeah, that's
And
coming out. isn't it?
Goosebumps 2 apparently is coming out, but without Jack Black because Sony want to cut costs.
No, is that the reasoning?
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, that's the rumours going about recently. But
It's like doing Jurassic Park without any dinosaurs. I haven't even seen Goosebumps. But
Wait.
Oh wait, what have I just jumped on
Segue.
something? Here we go.
Oh,
Segue.
I didn't even have a
Park.
chance to talk
yes.
about that.
And
It's fine.
speaking of sequels,
I
it's
don't
actually
wanna
another
talk
thing.
about the
There
new
we go.
Jurassic Park.
No, it's not. Don't worry.
Don't make me do it.
Sharknado 6.
Oh,
What's it called? The Shark's Revenge.
No, it's
Rise
just
of the
called
Sharks.
Sharknado 6 right now. Is coming with Nazis, dinosaurs, and time travel. Well, obviously time
why
travel.
are people putting money towards this?
I don't
Right.
It's
know.
really,
so here's,
really
here's
annoying
the other
me.
talking point that I
It
want
is
to
funny,
talk to
isn't
you
it?
about. Also, I'm thinking of just opening another show called Talking Point.
That sounds a bit more serious than what we do.
It's like this.
Talking Point. Matthew
Talking
Lister.
Point.
Sounds like a political show.
But yeah, are intentionally bad parody films actually good?
No.
Because if they're bad,
No.
then does that mean they
Well,
are
I
good?
think
'Cause you
some
get
can. This is the thing. Is like not intentionally bad. A parody film of but parodying a bad film. Do you know, like Tucker and Dale, or like certain horror ones where they kind of have stupid things, but it's deliberate. That can work. But when you're doing a bad version of an already bad thing, there's just what could possibly be what could be impressive about what could you be accomplishing by doing that?
Yeah, see, Scary Movie does it well up until, say, Scary Movie 3, because it takes piss out of horror films in a comedy way. Is 50 Shades...
darker.
No,
I know the one
that's
you're
the other
talking
film.
about. Do you
Wait.
talking about the one with Marlon Wayans? My
Yeah.
brother was showing me scenes of that. Like,
Yeah.
he was a big fan.
Is that the one?
50
Wait.
Shades.
That's the second film. Of
Yeah.
50 Shades.
Oh, that's the actual. Okay. Is it
Yeah,
50
so
Shades
there's a parody
Blacker?
of.
Is it,
50
it might just be
Shades
50 Shades Blacker, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it in case it wasn't. Then it's
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure it
you
is.
just, yeah, I think it's 50 Shades Blacker.
But things like that would work, but I just feel like when it comes to Sharknado and similar things, it's just beyond. Oh, I don't know. It just irritates me. I've seen one of the films and I wanted to slit my wrists the entire time.
Jesus,
To a certain degree as well. Like, there's so many great films that, like, there's hundreds of amazing films we've all not seen, no matter how into films you are, just because you haven't had time. So why are we wasting our time watching, like, Mamma Mia, Here You Go Again, or Sharknado 5, or just things that you know are going to have, like, you're not going to come out of it with any kind of growth in your perspective, or just ideas, or, like, take a moral lesson, or, like, be any more interesting as a person,
Yeah.
or, like, learn anything from it. You're just going to come out of it and be like, okay, I've been distracted for an hour and a half, now I'm going to go on with my crap life.
Yeah. Well, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. What was the plot of that? It was like the
Oh.
daughter of the main girl in the first one.
Goes to Greece and meets a Greek. I don't know what happened to Mamma Mia. I was about to guess the whole plot there. That'd been great.
Yeah, let's do that. That's another segment we'll just do. Just start randomly describing films.
Only one of us have seen.
Yeah. What was it? No, it was supposed to be the daughter's wedding, and then it's the mum who gets involved because, like, she has 3 potential fathers, and then she finally gets with one of them. That's the first film.
Yeah.
So I think the second one now coming out is their wedding, set back in the same place. Maybe I'm not sure.
Could not deal with that.
Nah.
There's a lot of bad films coming out, and that'd probably be bottom of the list, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dry period. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you were going to move on to something, Matt, but I
I
was
was
just
trying to think of a really bad segue.
All right, I'm not going to let you do it. I was just thinking with this, because, like, it might be a whole cinema, because I was reading an article about basically Netflix having a bit of a divide with Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, I read
because
that,
Cannes
yeah.
Film Festival have said that Netflix films can't count, because part of their criteria is it has to be shown in a cinema. So Netflix are now threatening to pull 5 films from the festival, like an Alfonso Cuarón film, Paul Greengrass, who's done a lot of films as well, just kind of quite big films.
Oh dear.
And it may be something that I can see happening where the cinema is going to be more and more just studio sequels of, like, you know, films that made a certain amount above the budget. Your Daddy's Home too. I don't know why I keep going after that, but, like, those kind of films.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to be more original kind of interesting films are on Netflix and streaming services and Amazon Prime and all of those. So I could see this just being a sign of the cinema in general ending up, like, going to film theaters might have a kind of harder time in the future,
Yeah.
because that's where those kind of films are shown, because that's where you can be reliably knowing, like, a bunch of people are going to go and see the next Kevin Hart film or The Rock film or whatever. So anything a bit more original you have to kind of watch on Netflix or
So
whatever.
you're saying, like, the next Jaws or Indiana Jones can be on Netflix in
I'm
like,
just-
the
I'm
next
just-
generation?
Yeah, I'm saying about the kind of worries about the health of cinema with kind of more and more of these sequels being the ones that get to film releases.
Yeah.
I just think maybe this is something that, and as well, you have, you hope that cinemas and stuff will learn how to pivot and react to survive and kind of do more interesting things and selectively choose more interesting things to show themselves. So I can see why people are concerned about the whole sequels and
Yeah.
indie cinema kind of dying and stuff, but you like to hope that it'll kind of find its own place, what with the internet and stuff like that now as well, especially.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Oh.
indie
Alright.
films
Alright, there we go.
and also sequels,
Okay, there we
I
go.
tried to make my own segue within that conversation. You'll see what I was talking about. Steven Spielberg says the next Indiana Jones could
Oh,
be
God.
a woman.
Yeah, this is not. I saw something about
Yeah,
this.
and could go by the name Indiana Joan.
That's,
Oh my
I know.
god.
Someone needs to teach Steven Spielberg how first names work.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God.
I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate
and
that
this is
so much.
this is Steven Spielberg saying that. He's been saying a lot of crazy stuff recently.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not,
yeah.
does he have a big tax bill, or is there a big scandal about to come out he's trying to pay for? Like, what's going on, Stephen?
I have
First off,
no
Ready
idea.
Player One, which we're going to
Hey,
get controversial
hey,
about in our
no.
podcast.
Be interesting.
You
That-
leave that film alone. I
That
love
was
film.
something I read for Ready Player One. Simon Pegg. he said that he'd done a lot of work and he was going to take time out, and he said to everyone, "Don't ring me unless it's Steven Spielberg," and then he did.
Oh.
And then got cast in Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
Imagine just no one talk to me unless it's this dude, and then he rings.
Well.
Mental.
Yeah. But the main talking point I wanted to go into this is because we've started to see this happen a lot recently. Does every film these days have to be rebooted with like a protagonist who isn't a white male?
No.
So, yeah, so it's like
Dealt with that.
Move
No, go on,
on.
sorry.
no, it's because we've had like Ocean's 8, or that's coming out in a couple of months.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. There's been various rumors of many other films.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like just the same film, just with like a female lead instead. And it's why can't we just create original films with original characters rather than just be like, oh, let's just do this with a woman or do this with, you know. And I'm just, I kind of get why, in a sense of, you know, you're trying to make sure that, you know, Hollywood's changing and you're kind of showing this, so you want to show diversity and stuff like that. But just if you want to do the same thing and like make this women's revolution in, like, you know, not so to speak, just create new films, like create new stars by creating different, like that's how, I know it was adapted by a book, but that's how Jennifer Lawrence became such a big star, because of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Make more stuff like that actually, you know, promote people as new stars instead of just being like, we're going to do this again, so let's just put this person in this.
But I think the argument was that those stories weren't getting they weren't getting funding, and they weren't getting any attention because nobody was, like, studios and stuff weren't wanting to see them. So that would have been the previous kind of complaint, and kind of ongoing complaint.
Yeah.
Is that you can say that all you like, but if no one's paying for them, then they're not going to get made, are they? And if they don't think it's going to have a box office, then it's not. But that's where I guess the responsibility, it also goes on, you know, the people who have powerful voices, like big directors and big name actresses and stuff, and they've also got, you know, like Jessica Chastain does a lot on social media.
Yeah.
Like, I think as well, that's a cool thing where, you know, if you get offered a film like that, don't do it. Just be involved in kind of the grassroots. And if you're an actor with that kind of pulling power and you read a script from somebody who's 20 and wrote a really interesting thing, get involved with that. And, like, more and more actresses are getting involved in producers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that, you know, they're taking a lot of control and responsibility for themselves, kind of big name Hollywood actresses.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of hope it keeps going that way, with rather than leaving it to studios and let money get in the way of things. Once you get any power, kind of do what you can with that yourself if you're that way inclined.
Yeah, we've seen, I know one name that's been doing this recently is Margot Robbie. She's making sure that she's like a producer of her own films and stuff. Like the same way that Drew Barrymore's kind of transitioning to TV. Like, more specifically, Santa Clarita Diet.
Well, he's so
Does he
obsessed
like
with
it?
it. Every time the
I like
trailer
the guy.
comes
He's
on,
in a good TV show called Justified.
well, the main guy in it, yeah.
Oh, Timothy Oliphant, is that? Yeah.
Yeah. But every time we watch the trailer, it pops up on Netflix. It's like, shall we watch season 1 again? And it's like, it wouldn't even.
I haven't seen it, but I was debating.
Tell you
It's
what,
good.
it's something that you have to really give it a chance. Like, you have to kind of
You have to be a
force
bit
yourself
patient
to
with.
watch. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
But-
we were like 6 episodes into the first season and we were still like, do we carry on watching this?
Yeah.
This is
Mhm.
so
I'd heard
bad.
It's just
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's a weird characterization of people in the situation, but I really grew
It's
to
worth
love
sticking
that.
with,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's really good. But yeah, so
Stupid.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the hope for it, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's in a weird place right now, the whole film industry. But I think with social media and with stuff like that, it's more and more your own voice can kind of take you somewhere far, and you can set up a lot for yourself. So you'd hope you know that kind of stuff can help things going forward.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any film news you want to bring up, or?
There was that Netflix thing. 1 second, I just closed a bunch of tabs for literally no reason. All right, here we go. Did you hear about the Tarantino Star Trek rumors that came about a while ago?
Yeah.
No.
Where basically, Tarantino said he wanted to direct a Star Trek film.
Okay.
There's a bit more to it than that, but that was kind of the gist of it.
Thanks.
But anyway, Simon Pegg's responded to it because, you know, like, he helped write the last one and stuff, and he's very involved. Because, yeah, Tarantino said he was going to do an R-rated one, because he talked about how those episodes in, like, the 60s, which is true, apparently, from nerds I know who are super into Star Trek, that they get into real kind of dense, like, ideas and dilemmas and situations and stuff, and
Okay.
he said, like, you could easily extend one of those out if they would have had the time to film and write and stuff. But Simon Pegg said he doubts it's actually going to happen. He thinks he's going to be too busy. because Tarantino's doing his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood film about Charles Manson and his family and stuff. That's coming out August next year, apparently. So that'll be very cool. And then he said he's going to do one more film as well, and the next Star Trek's kind of in the next few years. So that's kind of putting a bit of dampener on those plans. But apparently he did hear about him talking about it years in advance. That might be something that could actually get me to watch a Star Trek film. Because I watched the recent, like, the first reboot and thought it was alright, but didn't really get that invested. But if Tarantino did it, I'd be back on board.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like I should give the new reboot ones a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I just never got around to it.
They're alright. The first one's alright. They there was a bit of whole casting who's hyped at the moment situation to it. Like Benedict Cumberbatch is a villain in one, and he's alright, but it's a bit not really. It doesn't really suit him. Like this big, scary, intimidating alien. Like you can go to the gym a lot, but you still got your face.
No, yeah.
Like it doesn't. It's just and that kind of just didn't quite play for me.
But
yeah,
you still got your face.
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
God.
it was. Yeah, I know you're an alright actor.
Put
and
that on
stuff.
a t-shirt.
Well, like he's not exactly gonna have like at least like like Josh Brolin, he's got like a kind of big, dense, intimidating face. Benedict Cumberbatch has a bit of a kind of quirky British like,
He looks like a
like
little otter.
odd rom-com lead face, not like a kind of
Yeah.
alien overlord face. But no, yeah, I don't really have too much film news for this week, really.
All right. Shall we move on to the film?
Sure.
The film.
The film.
Oh God, sorry about that. Right. Okay. So, Isle of Dogs.
Hey, Del, you've heard the rumour, right?
Oh, I think I have.
No, what rumor?
Should we say the really blatant things off straight up, just in case anybody else didn't realise this and have the realisation with the title?
Oh, what the?
I love dogs.
I love dogs.
I love dogs.
I
Oh.
love dogs.
If you look on
Stop
Twitter, there's a lot of 40-year-old women who just realised that, talking in all caps.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little trick that, because it does play as a title without it.
Yeah.
It's funny to see how long it took people to clock it. But yeah, that's the first off. That's the first
Yeah.
off mind-blowing
Okay,
fact
so we can move on?
reveal. Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. So I'll give a small summary of the film.
Oh, look at you volunteering to do something.
It's because I've got something written down.
Okay.
There you go.
And it's if I could say
blew it.
If it, yeah,
You blew
no,
it.
I'm
Fuck's
sorry.
You
Am I
blew it.
fired?
Right,
Or
give
can I
us
s-
a phone. No, sorry.
Do you wanna
Try
read
again.
it?
Try
Okay.
again.
Oh,
Oh no!
you've done it to me. No, this is the one
Performance
bit
anxiety.
I just have to.
It's a common issue for Matt, right? All right, sorry.
What do
Yeah,
you-
I was being serious when I said that.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
actual people have been doing that.
Shout out to Patty Murin.
Yeah.
we just pulled up a tweet basically.
Okay, so in a dystopian future of Megasaki's city, after a canine virus that threatens the humans, all the dogs are exiled to Trash Island. Akari, a 12-year-old boy, goes to find his dog Spots. With the assistance of a mongrel pack, they all embark on an epic quest to find Spots that may change everything they know.
Cool.
Like it.
So what did you actually think of the
That's
film?
dramatic. Okay, I was about to say as I said last time, but it's not an actual thing, is it?
No.
All right, I got myself wraps up there. Matt, edit now.
Okay.
Matt, you're editing right now.
No. Okay.
Hi,
Good
Matt.
editing, man. Hey, Matt.
Hi, anybody want to leave a future note for me?
No.
Nah, I'll text
Alright.
you. No, I'm probably of the three of us the person who's most kind of familiar with Wes Anderson. I'm a really big fan of his, so I was really excited coming into this, and I really liked it as well. I don't think it's one of his best films, but I think I'll kind of leave it to you two to talk a bit more about first impressions, because it's weird to describe when you're new to it.
Yeah, I think when I first saw the trailer, well, no, I didn't even see the trailer. I'd seen the posters and little clips.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit skeptical because even though it kind of reminded me of Coraline, have you seen that?
No, but I know what you kind of vibe you're talking about.
That's
The
amazing.
look of it.
But it still kind of creeped me out a little bit, just the way that they moved. But I was very pleasantly surprised by that film.
See, I'm not a big fan of the claymation sort of
The stop motion
animation
stuff,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard for me to kind of get into films like that. But once I did, I really enjoyed this film. What were you going to say?
I wasn't going to say anything. I tried to agree with you, but my voice wouldn't do it. So you might hear it back. I just went, yeah. I couldn't get it out. So I just heard it. And
I
none
didn't
of you
hear
picked
anything.
it
I know,
up.
I didn't hear anything.
You might not hear it. It's like a proper little whimper. I don't know why.
Wow, okay. But, yeah, no, I really enjoyed this film. I loved everything about it, really. It seems really weird on reflection, just because I wasn't too hyped up when I got out the cinema, but thinking about it more, it's definitely one of those films that kind of hits home with you once you've kind of let it settle on you for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is a weird phrase to say. I'm sorry about it. But
I'm sorry about it.
I'm sorry.
I understand what you're going for.
So the actual story itself, does anybody want to walk through anything or pick up anything about the actual story itself?
I mean, I think the main controversy about it's been the whole Japanese aspect, hasn't it? And whether or not it's appropriation and stuff like that. I mean, my point of view from that is kind of just it's a stupid argument.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, there seems to be a thing now where, like, anytime you mention another culture, if you're not from there, people want to jump on you and say you're appropriating, when it's like, you know, this is like a true, like, real, there's a lot of love behind it and a lot of respect to it, and the way he's done it. Like, some people have said the fact that the dogs are translated into English is a bit like making it seem like Japanese is other and unusual, but to me, the way it's actually told as a story is really kind of ingenious, how they mess with the languages and they use translators and they use like the different ways to do it. And I'm surprised it's even got any kind of traction at all on the news, and it mostly just to me is indicative of just the whole nonsense of the other culture stuff, people trying to be politically correct.
Again, if it wasn't that, someone would be making up something to whinge about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think it was a relatively straightforward plot, right? Because
Yeah.
the thing we all kind of, I guess we'd all kind of agreed to is like, a film like this isn't so much about having twists and turns and storylines, and it's more kind of visual storytelling and putting you in kind of a mood, and that kind of, the characters are all kind of interesting in a very unusual way. But I think to
Yeah.
me, a lot of it comes down to the visual side of it more so than, I'm not really looking for a story to blow me out the water.
No.
Yeah.
It's more about kind of unusual characters and unusual way of looking, and it's a really distinctive feel in a way that's hard to pin down verbally sometimes. Difficult.
I really liked the way that, like you say, it didn't blow me out the water with like the way that the story was. It wasn't anything particularly like new, but I did really appreciate the way that they brought like story A and story B together,
Yes.
which is like, you know, two different plot lines kind of going alongside each other, which is usually how you kind of string a film together. It's usually seen more in TV series and stuff like that, but there's usually like 2 or 3 different plots that all kind of come together to make the final culmination of the film, and I really enjoyed, like, not the mystery, because it wasn't really necessarily a mystery, but it's just the way that certain things unfolded within this world that I really appreciated, the way of how, because they didn't affect each other either. It's just like, you know where this is building towards, or you don't necessarily know where it's building towards, but you're enjoying each part of it as well.
Yeah.
So it's like everything to do with the dogs, and then also, side note, everything to do with the government and like the girl reporter trying to find this conspiracy and stuff. And I just love the way that the two stories collided together to make this one big set piece at the end.
Yeah. I didn't think that I'd enjoy it as much. The first 5-10 minutes, it's shown a dog sneezing. I know I've spoke about it briefly with you guys, and it shows that sort of animation and with the fighting and stuff like that. When I first saw it, I didn't think I was going to be too keen on it, because when I think of animation, it's either right at the start of Disney when it was just plain drawings,
Yeah.
or really Coco
level
animated.
advanced, Yeah.
So I was like really excited that I got into something that was more this style, because it was different from everything I'd seen.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to laugh as much as I did. I thought it was going to be a very straightforward kind of.
Yeah, I love the way it kind of,
Off-putting.
it got you off guard with certain things as well. There were certain
Yeah.
things, and like, just going back to the, like, I guess you can call it a shortcut of, you know, like the cloud, the fight cloud and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you kind of see it once, you're like, oh, what's this? And then you kind of get used to it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this works, this is good. But it was just certain things in the story that, like, certain things that people said that caught you off guard, or the way that the story is put across. And there's one bit in particular where you see most of the dogs kind of go off into this incinerator, and they're not seen for a while, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, did they just die? What's because
Yeah.
usually you get like some sort of confirmation like maybe a minute or two afterwards, but it was at least like 10 or 15 minutes or something where you're just like, oh, okay, I guess the story just drastically changed, because like we looked at each other
Yeah, I
in the
was gonna
cinema like,
say.
what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Because I did not expect that at all, but it was a nice kind of thing to kind of like usually you watch films and you're kind of on standby mode where you're
Yeah.
just kind of like, you're seeing this and you expect this to happen, blah blah. But when you see that and it changes it up, you're like, oh, okay, and you really kind of get intrigued and interested by it.
There was a turning point when, oh my god, what's he called? The main black dog. Was he Chief?
Spock?
Chief,
yeah.
Spot. No, well,
Spots
no,
is the one that carries.
I
Yeah,
was just gonna name every
When
dog.
Chief and the little boy are spending time together.
just quickly. I know we already said it before, but spoilers and spoiler alerts for anyone listening. Okay, go ahead.
And Chief is still this moody dog, and then the boy starts stepping up towards the slide, and he's like, "Don't do it, I will leave."
Yeah.
And then he starts going up, and then eventually he whistles, and then they find their way back, and it's like this really nice moment where he didn't want to leave without that boy, even
Yeah.
though he seemed less arsed about him earlier.
Yeah,
Which
and
brings
then,
me to it, that whistling stuck in my head. The tune from that was just, I can't remember it now. It
Yeah,
stuck
but
in
I
my
know
head for a
what you
good
mean,
week.
yeah, like going to the actual soundtrack of this film, it didn't really have many songs, but it had like a certain beat that we all started humming as soon as the film left.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it finished, sorry, we all left. I can't remember what it was now. I
Yeah.
can't remember the beat, but we were just going dum dum dum, or whatever
It
it was.
really
and-
suited the
yeah, no,
atmosphere.
I thought it really built the world.
Did you notice sound being used in transitions as well between different scenes and stuff? Like there's one particular one I can point to where I can't remember who. Somebody's chewing gum and you see him chewing gum and then they coincide the chewing of the gum with the kind of score. So they're chewing the gum on the beat and then at the point they kind of chew the drum on the beat, then it transitions from that to another shot.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
And it's
no,
just
that's
a lot
really
of
cool.
like, in the kind of detail of it. It's not just the detail of the production and stuff like that, just in the actual detail of the film. Like, do you remember the little play Atari did with the two-headed thing? Basically, there's like a little play on a stage, and it looks like one guy or a monster or something. Sorry, it's been a while
yeah.
since we've
no,
seen
yeah,
it.
I remember
so
what
I'm
it
being
is, and
super
they
vague.
use the effect of, you've seen like some dancers do it in like some of the Thingy's Got Talent or whatever it is.
Yeah.
where it's like blacked out screen and
Don't
then
way to just denigrate this film.
and no, so I'm just saying it's a
Alright,
prominent
yeah.
thing that dance
Yeah, no, I
troupes have
get-
used, where they use the darkness and then they'll kind of create colours and stuff so it looks like something's floating. Is that the bit you were on about?
Yeah, and then also there was two of them, but it looked like there was one person for a lot
Yeah.
of the dance,
Yeah.
but then one of them kind of peeled out, and you couldn't really see when that happened and how they'd been behind and stuff.
Peeled out.
Did peeled out sound great?
Yeah.
Yeah, alright, fine. I thought that was
better
less
than-
grim than most of what I would have came up with.
better than fleshed out. Or...
Oh yeah, much
Oh,
better.
yeah.
Fleshed
Oh,
out.
don't
is
say it.
just
I'm very
horrible.
annoyed. Oh, sorry, we're editing around that. No, it's fine. You can have it in there. You can get one an episode. I always like kind of harp on about films having messages and stuff like that, but just with this one, it was really kind of subtle and it didn't push anything you at all. But did you kind of notice any kind of political points he was making, or like, or any kind of stuff like that in the film?
No. Just saying, this is my favourite part that I like of the podcast, where Dill brings the realness.
Yeah.
He's like got 3 pages of notes of this detail.
Well, I literally got 2 lines, and I'm just planning on making them. Well, usually, it sounds like I've got. Hopefully, the aim is it sounds like I've got 3 pages.
Yeah.
Go on, then.
Instead, I've got like one thing. Now, I just thought like, for one thing, there was the lot about. So basically, the kind of secondary story is a school newspaper effectively does a lot of the undermining of the president, who's got a pretty tight grasp on the entire kind of nation. So for one, to me, that kind of said a point he was making about kind of the youth being responsible for rebelling and stuff like that, because they're the people with kind of the perspective and the bravery and kind of their own that defined moral belief system that you don't kind of just fade as you get older and you get stuck into the world. So for me, I like the fact that to this I saw it a bit as a kind of call to arms as young people of being involved and being passionate about stuff, and actually kind of, especially with the political side of it, just the fact that it was a youth newspaper, like being involved in media and stuff like that is the youth newspaper is what ends up bringing that guy down, even though it's just a student newspaper. So just like a little, because the Trump stuff was going on and people do talk about this as a really political film, even though I didn't get that too deep into it, like thinking about it, I think I need to see it again to really pick up on a lot.
Yeah.
But I can see a point being made about like younger people being responsible and being involved and being kind of serious about that kind of thing and not being afraid to kind of argue with people and push against the accepted stuff. So like I like that side of it as well, and I like the fact that it's not preachy or kind of over kind of like slamming you with the message type stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, like I love Scrubs, but you know Scrubs ended every episode with like a kind of convenient wrap up where he'd like make the point in very simple English for you that the episode was trying to go at.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that stuff. It's a bit like if you pay attention to this and if you get kind of that inspired by this kind of creative stuff, that you can take the message from it if you kind of read into it that far. So I like that side of it too.
Yeah,
Don't usually see that in Wes Anderson films.
Because I don't know whether this is prominent within Asian governments and stuff, but they seem to kind of hold power for a lot longer as well than what most other regimes would do. So just kind of showing that people, like, you know, because it's like the suppressing of like the scientists as well, and it's always about this fear mongering, which seems quite reminiscent within Korea and stuff like that. But
I think as well he's making the point about America, like even with the Japan, it's so offhand, like, oh, and then he did this to get this power, and it all kind of runs through, and then you think about like, well, that kind of stuff's going on with whoever it might be in whatever kind of, you know, it's going on a lot in the modern kind of political sphere. So just like that kind of side of it I liked as well. Like I liked that it wasn't purely just because I get his films are all about the staging of it and the way it looks and the feel of it to a certain degree, but the fact that you can also put in a message that way is interesting.
I had a specific pun for this as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I added it in.
No, I think it came from outside.
Yeah, I think it came from outside. Yeah, when I said about the you know, the causing intrigue and stuff with the dogs going into the incinerator thing, I was like, it gave it a new leash of life.
I hate that. We were literally saying before, we were looking at different things. We were like, why do all the reviews have to have some crappy dog pun?
It's the worst thing about Isle of Dogs is every review has like there's so many decent, you could do an interesting pun. There's so much to dogs, but everything's the most basic, rough bark like that.
Yeah.
I also liked, just quickly, before we move on to other stuff as well, I like the fact that I didn't see the twist about Chief.
No, yeah, I didn't get close to seeing that twist. Because you wouldn't anticipate a twist, really. You were just following these lot on their little journey.
Yeah.
Plus, none of the other dogs are that dirty.
Well, yeah.
But he's a stray, I
There
guess.
is that. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
he's been
suppose.
that dirty all his life, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, we'll move on to the characters themselves and stuff. What did you think of the dogs and also the humans, I guess, but mainly the dogs that
I
follow
really
the
like
story
them.
of. Yeah.
There was one dog, I can't remember the name of it. It was a tiny little dog, and it kept on watching the TV.
Oh, yeah, I know who you mean.
Do
Do you remember the two, the
Oh,
Oracle and
yeah.
the other one?
Yeah.
It's the
The
other one to
one-
the Oracle.
Wait, wasn't that Oracle?
I
And the
thought-
other one's Jupiter. Yeah.
Oh, Oracle and Jupiter. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Oracle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oracle.
an
It was played
Oracle.
by Tilda Swinton, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
She was hilarious.
And she thought that she could communicate through the TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that was like an ongoing joke.
There was a
And
few
that was
running
just-
jokes that were great. Like the rumour thing was, again, a
Oh,
really
yeah.
good running joke for it. And it was like almost like it wasn't a joke. That's why they were so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a bit of you was like confused laughing about it. Like, this is weird that this is happening.
yeah.
But yeah, the characters were really good. The only one that I wasn't too sure on was Nutmeg, which was Scarlett Johansson's character, because it
Oh,
was
yeah.
so brief and because it was so distinct that it was her.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really believe into it being a dog because I could just hear her.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
that's just probably me because I don't like association.
Because we were talking about the voice acting cast, and like I usually have a propensity to want to like try and spot the voices from the thing, and I think it can sometimes pull you out of watching a film when you're like, who's that?
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing that at all with this one. But Scarlett Johansson is pretty, like, you know, something about her voice is very noticeable,
yeah.
and just that kind of maybe Nutmeg was a bit. Plus, Nutmeg felt a bit like Route One. We need Chief to be cool to the kid now. We'll have a girl tell him to be cool to the kid.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it would take as well. So, like fair enough is probably accurate.
Yeah, like Chief specifically, I really liked in this film because he had like quite a natural character arc that you kind of got invested in as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I also liked Greta Gerwig as I can't remember her name, but the reporter girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
I liked Edward Norton as Rex, the dog,
Yeah.
who's kind of like a little bit of a kind of beta, but he wants to be in charge, and he's got like he doesn't have time to characterize himself well, but
Yeah.
or he's not like that in depth, but you understand where he's coming from a lot quite quickly. I thought Atari was cool as well. I liked Atari as a
Yeah.
character. the kind of stubbornness and the entitledness he kind of had. Like, he didn't kind of understand consequences, but again, they could characterize him that well with very little actual communication. Like, it was just kind of motion and just the way they reacted to him and the way he reacted to the dogs.
So, but speaking of like the way they kind of spoke with each other as well, like the actual dialogue of the film, because usually if you get films like this, it seems quite robotic in a sense of like, you know, character says something to this, but I thought it was really natural between all the different dogs, like, you know, talking about the rumor gag. And the way that all the dogs kind of reacted to that, and it's just like it all seemed really natural. Yeah. Like, you know, for them to be, oh, I know, no, what are you talking about? And it's just like, you know, everyone seems to be getting along with each other as well. I thought it was like it for me, it kind of sells the film a little bit more because it's not just like a script being read out.
Yeah. You believe they're all friends.
Oh yeah.
I remember reading in the prep for this about the last. He's done 2 stop motion films. The one before was Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I'd recommend.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of kind of.
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix, so we've got it on
I watched it quite
on the
recently.
list.
It's good because I think you'll like it, Matt, because it's got kind of quite a lot of meta jokes about, like, at this point in the film you'd get this kind of a big speech, so like it'll make the joke, but then they won't have the big speech, but it does, and like he uses cuss as like a replacement for swearing in the whole film, but you can use it around kids, and it's like funny how cuss becomes different words and different like uses of the F word, obviously.
Like what the cuss.
What the cuss, but then also just like cussing, and then like just this is also a kids' film and it's so blatant, but it kind of plays.
Yeah.
But like apparently in that Fantastic Mr. 4, a lot of the voiceover work kind of was done in the woods. They did it on barns, trailers, motorbikes, kind of that kind of stuff to make it realistic for the actors. So I think there would be stuff like continuing on like that in this film, with like maybe they'd be in a room together, kind of, because there's a bit of talking over each other and there's a bit of like that kind of tonal stuff that I think comes easier once you actually get people in real situations. So maybe they were like, I doubt they were on the way to Incinerator, but maybe they were like in a ski chairlift or something. I don't know. The performances were really good as well.
I'd like to have seen that. Yeah, no, the voice acting was really good, specifically for me. Greta Gerwig, Bryan Cranston, and Edward Norton. I think we've already kind of touched on that a little bit, but yeah. What did you think of the, like, because we touched on it before, the visuals and like the actual way that it was? Because like for me, getting used to the claymation was a bit of a stretch, but then when I got into it, it was really, like, for me, I found it really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the way that the landscapes looked and the way that they kind of interacted within like the actual settings that they were in, and like the actual locations that they were, like, you know, dotted about in as well. I thought it was really nice.
Yeah, it sort of proves that it doesn't have to be aesthetically beautiful to be like a beautifully made film.
He uses a thing called like planimetric staging, which is pretty much a Wes Anderson, his special move, which is where everything's at 90 degrees. So like the focus will be the middle of the screen, and then everything in the background is kind of symmetrical. And this, again, it's hard to describe and hard to place why it gives it a certain kind of feel. But there's a weird kind of regularity and like a kind of, again, it just has a really cool look to me. Like I love the way all his films look, and stop motion lets him kind of extend that beyond the real world. So I kind of like that side of it being animation. You're not constricted by just what actual stuff looks like.
Oh yeah, no, and even then, like adding specific shots, it had like B-roll stuff in it as well, which I always like, especially for an animated film, because it's like gone the extra mile to kind of not necessarily look more cinematic like, you know, a live action film would do. Yeah. But it's just that little thing that to kind of add in where you're like, oh, okay, this is like a nice transition to kind of get in there, because there were like some close-ups of the trash island that I remember of, and it's just like, why are you adding this in? But also it works with it as well.
Yeah, because he's making it as a film, like it's just a part of the film. It's not defined by being stop motion.
So what did you actually, like, 3 positives or any sort of positives for this film?
You can start.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Way to drop me in it. All right. Okay.
Your idea.
Really interesting story, told well enough. I liked all the characters, and I love the world building aspect of it, especially for something that I wasn't really invested in. I found myself really intrigued and actually wanted to watch this through to the end.
Yeah, that pretty much nails what I think. I don't really think I've got anything negative, so it would just be everything you've said, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Del? Yeah.
No, yeah, it's similar. Just I like the look of it. I like Wes Anderson films in general. I was very happy with it.
Yeah. Happy with all the like, because he also had like the message of it, and I guess kind of choosing what's right over what's wrong, or that kind of stuff as well. But also had the political stuff in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy that aspect?
Yeah, I like I like the kind of, you can use it as a metaphor for things that are actually going on, and it's also done deliberately generally, so it doesn't only apply in Japan. It applies to any leader who's taken a lot of power through kind of underhand. Whoa!
I like that.
I thought we were gonna go past it. No, okay.
No, that was definitely not what that was definitely one to stop on.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, no. I think I was ready. I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad
was
you
gonna
guys
say the only
liked it.
negative for me was just it's still not my favorite form of animation, but I enjoyed it within the context of the film,
Yeah,
and that's all I really
That's
have to say
fair
on
enough.
it. Shall we go into the 10-star movie review?
Please.
Brand new
10 stars.
We've got an extra 5 stars to play with. So this is the 10-star movie review, where we put films through the ultimate test. For every question we vote yes, that film gets 1 star. The ultimate goal, 10 stars. The 3 of us, so the majority vote wins, though half stars are up for contention when necessary. And a small disclaimer, the ratings we give don't always match our enjoyment or experience of the film. This is just a rating system. Are you ready?
Yep.
Sure.
So question number 1, does the story make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all agree.
Yeah?
on
Yeah.
Not really much to talk about that. Okay, 1 star. Question number 2, did the script and the dialogue between the characters feel natural?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the most interesting ways they did that with this film, was using the translators and the different languages and the different animals. Like, there was a lot of different levels it was going on, and there was a lot of different techniques used to get past it, and it never got overwhelming or confusing.
No, that's what, especially with subtitle films as well. Something that you kind of get lost in because you're looking at the words and you kind of forget to look at the visual. But I didn't really.
And
have
I
a
know
problem
you
with
were a
those.
bit uncertain. You don't like selective subtitles as a rule, right? But
That was so.
Not
was
for
that
me.
so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind.
yeah,
Yeah, because we had that problem with Shape. Well, you had that problem with Shape of Water, but
Yeah.
I guess it's more of a choice rather than like a left out thing, unless they're just a really
Yeah.
bad film.
Yeah.
I think with this one it kind of carried it. They gave away enough, and they kept enough just Japanese without us knowing.
Yeah. Okay, 2 stars. Question number 3: did you believe that the world of the film existed?
Yes.
Obviously, we've got to take context because it's an
Yeah,
animated film.
yeah.
Yeah.
About a Japanese dictator.
But I'd say yeah, just specifically because you can kind of see what situation, how they get into the situation with like the dogs kind of becoming ill,
Yeah.
and that's kind of forcing the humans to do something about it. You can see that this dictator's kind of becoming more fearful over his loss of power, so he's becoming more and more paranoid, obviously getting rid of all his competition to do with like scientists and stuff and actually proving him right and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's proving him wrong in certain parts. So I can kind of see the way that the world's built and how it realistically works. So
Yeah.
for me, I'd give it the star.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 3 stars. Question number 4. Did you believe that the characters existed in the world of the film? So it's one thing to kind of make this film work, but then to actually kind of resonate with the characters in it
Yeah.
and see them,
So
you know,
there's
react with each other.
Yeah, I can believe. There's the dictator who's got the family history of hating dogs. Like, that's set up quite well, and you can understand his rationale and his personality. Sorry, there it came out
Yeah,
the
I
whistle.
heard it.
Yeah, then Atari as well. You know, like his parents died, but he's got the kind of in time with it. I just think everybody kind of like they're not flawless characters because of the way that their background is set up. Even with the dogs as well, like Chief being the way he is as a stray, he was kind of portrayed when he was younger, and Rex kind of, even with the name Rex and wanting to be in charge, like kind of
Yeah.
works, but not quite there.
Yeah. So all 1 star from that? Okay, so 4 stars.
So you two are really expanding, and then I'm like, yeah, that. I agree with that.
All right, so question number 5. Did you get emotionally invested in the characters? There's one, I keep saying one thing, but you know, you actually see them in the world and the way that they react with each other, but then if you actually kind of become invested into seeing what their story is, I believe that kind of takes it up one more notch. Because in most of the
I
films, I wouldn't
didn't.
really resonate with them or like get invested in them too much.
Yeah,
but-
I don't think, because when they went into the incinerator, I think if I was really invested in those sort of characters even early on, I would have been like, oh shit, no, they can't do that. Whereas I was just sort of shocked, and then seeing the little boy cry towards the end, I didn't really get that emotional with it, which is weird for me.
Yeah, I actually agree that I wouldn't give this one the star. To a certain degree, I don't think the goal is to get you, like, you're not too tied to their journey. You're not like, it's not like you're not getting carried into the film like you're a member of the crew and they're a friend of yours.
Yeah.
It's a lot more kind of detached, and kind of I can see how, you know, it's not necessary for the success of this film for you to become emotionally invested. So in this case, whilst I would normally want to kind of argue for it,
Yeah.
I don't think it should really get the star, but I don't think that detracts from the film in any way.
Okay. So, like, based on that premise, then, do you want to give it the half star? Because sometimes films would not want you to necessarily.
Well, the thing is, I think 0 stars kind of suggests that you don't care about the characters, and it wasn't that. It was just that we weren't tied into their success, if you know. Well, like, we weren't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we wanted that person to beat whatever challenge that was on their way. It was more like we were just along for the story.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I think it can get,
that's fair enough.
because we did like them all, and we
Yeah.
were hoping they did well, but it's just we weren't too tied to anybody.
But
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know, like, when
Yeah.
you watch a really bad film which doesn't deserve a star at all?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I hope this guy drowns.
Like
because-
Kidnap.
like Kidnap. Like in Kidnap,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want
Yeah,
more man
exactly.
baby to die. But this one, it was a bit more like, I'm not too, like, if someone disappears off the radar, I get it, because it's part of this piece of cinema, this film, but it was like, I still think half works for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
half
have a
star?
look. Yeah.
Okay, so we're on 4.5 stars here.
Cool.
Question number 6. This is a bit of a kind of... It's in testing, this question, because I wanted to get 2 different aspects of, like, film in here. So anyway, did the film visually and audibly please you?
Sorry.
Please me.
You'll have to re-say that. I heard a weird noise from.
Yeah, I had my phone in my mouth, and I just went like, "Rrr."
Okay, so did the film visually and audibly please you? Like, were you pleased by the way that it looked, by the way that it sounded?
Yes.
Because I wanted to get, like, the cinematography and also the score within this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, both of them kind of go hand in hand as well. So, like, for example, Suicide Squad, like, that audibly does not work for me whatsoever. So,
No, yeah.
But if the visuals do, which they don't even necessarily do that, I'd give it a half star. But to be honest, with that
I would give it
with
the
that
full
example,
star, yeah.
I'd give it no star.
Oh, for Suicide
Oh,
Squad.
yeah, for Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'd give
But-
this a full star just because, like you say, we were doing that beat
Mhm.
as we came out, and you said about the chewing gum, and it all sort of fits together.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
So-
like Wes Anderson's trademark, is that he is the most distinctive and kind of copied, influential, like, visual filmmaker, storyteller of the, like, last 20 odd years. So I just think everything flows together so well that that's probably one of the most definitive stars I can think we've gave since we've started. Like, the way it looks visually and the way it sounds within that,
Oh, yeah.
it just really plays well.
And then especially with this film as well, to do with the sound and the score and the sound mix and all that kind of stuff, it's all animated anyway, so you have to kind of add your own... Oh, sorry. You have to kind of add your own sounds in there to make, like, you know, to bring the world alive. So it's
Yeah.
like, it gets an extra kind of... I'm not giving it an extra star, but I'm...
This
Extra
rating
credit.
system. Yeah, full
I give
star.
it the full star.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 5.5 stars. Question number 7. Were you diegetically were you diegetically absorbed into the film?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
Except-
it does help that we're in the cinema and stuff, but I feel like because I was so invested in, like, the characters and the story, and also kind of shocked when certain things happen, like things that we've discussed, that
Yeah.
I can't say that I wasn't.
Yeah, the only time that I wasn't watching the screen was when I was looking at you two to see your reactions to the
Yeah.
same thing I was shocked by, or that I found funny.
Yeah.
I think that was the only time.
I think there might be an interesting thing with animation, especially maybe like claymation, stop motion, stuff like this, where, do you know, you said it took you a while to get into it.
Yeah.
I think there might be a kind of reverse of that, which is that once you do get into it, you're a lot more kind of stuck in it.
Yeah.
Because, like, going on your phone and looking into the outside world and people kind of just be weird for you once you're this drawn into this animated, like, so you more kind of, you're more motivated to not get distracted and to stay in the film, because you know it's going to be weird when you actually kind of, like, you know,
Yeah.
like, it'd be weird to, like, if I was watching that on Netflix, to pause it, like, look on Twitter and then go back
And
to the
then-
film, it'd be really odd for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas because it's animation, once you do get invested, I think you're more kind of tied into it than maybe a normal film.
Whereas
Yeah.
if I did that with Kidnap, I would just stay on my phone and turn off
Yeah.
the film.
Fucking
Yeah.
yeah, because I think it's something that's not. Well, it's not something that's done that often the way that he does it anyway. So it is something fresh in people's minds, so they're that fixated on how it's going to play out
Mm-hmm.
that they wouldn't want to watch anything else.
Okay, so full star?
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll be on
Okay,
like 6.5.
6.5 stars. Question number 8. Did the film have a good ending?
Yeah, I liked that Chief became his new
Bodyguard.
guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a new purpose, and he wasn't astray, and he actually had a sense of belonging. And Spots had a family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that was sweet. It was a nice little wrap up, I think.
Yeah, it was a happy ending without like making it. It didn't feel a bit. Do you know, sometimes you see a happy ending, it's a bit you've taken all the claws out of the film, and it's a bit like, oh, well, why did we even?
Yeah.
What kind of world is this?
Yeah.
That happy ending worked within the world and within the way that like they'd all kind of done their brave, heroic like stuff throughout the film to earn what came at the end. So that was why I liked it.
Okay. So,
God, what is
guys are
going
just
on?
full of, well, I can't speak, and you guys are full of weird noises. There we go. Question number 9. So wait, so that's a full star.
Was that another weird noise? Alright, we're not doing this. He's gonna do it
Question
for
number
ages.
9. Did the film successfully relay its message to you? I feel like we've talked about it enough to kind of say that it did, because
Yeah.
we've been talking about it.
And plus, like, it's not so much a message film in itself. It's more just like a kind of, like a bit of the stuff I was talking about, but it's just kind of like it's more like a film as a film for me than just as something to see and something to kind of, you see someone's creative process and
Yeah, that question's going to be changed at some point, I think. Like, I think it'll kind of go along with certain films, but it won't with others, so I want to create another...
selective
Yeah.
standard.
But with this film, I'd say that it does in, it kind of shows you when people have, like, a true purpose, they're much happier and stuff like that, and then, also, like, the belongingness of, like, to other people and family and kind of close bonds and stuff like that. I feel like it kind of has that message with it as well.
Yeah.
So I'd say that it does. for
Especially
me
once you see his,
personally as
when you
well.
see his older films, you'll see some more themes in there of like kind of these unusual families and kind of like parental brothers and sisters relationships and stuff that kind of is interesting that they'll always go back to.
Okay, so full star for
Full
that from
star.
everyone.
Yep.
Okay, we are on 8.5 stars. Let's see if it can make it 9 or 9.5.
All right.
Did the film have a personal impact on you?
No.
Now I've changed it from because it used to be did the movie change you, which I don't feel like is a very manageable thing to do. But if it has some sort of impact on you, not necessarily change you, but something that you can kind of take away from it, I feel like that's something that's more,
Yeah.
Yeah, I still wouldn't say it has that much of a personal impact on me though.
No, yeah, I'd want that to remain quite a high standard as well. And like every film, you could say, "Oh, I came out of it and I felt a bit nicer," but like there's nothing long term in terms of perspective or like the way I'm gonna look at things that I think's gonna change from it.
Yeah.
It's just it was just a good film that did it, like kind of took you into that world, told a story, and kind of looked like nothing else, like no one else could have made that.
Yeah.
Just excited to see a vision like that.
So yeah,
So
8.5 stars.
Do you know what you
Dogs.
didn't do?
What?
A jingle. A jingle.
I
A
know.
jingle.
I don't
Well,
remind
It's
him.
fine, it's too late now.
No, it's not. The power of editing. I could
Yeah.
put that back in.
He could just
Yeah,
do
'cause
that straight
everyone
for
wants
50
that.
minutes.
A jingle. A jingle. A jingle. A jingle.
All this is a
Talk about
cucumber.
self-sabotage, that is. I'm not going to join in. I mean,
Right. Anyway,
what I'm doing
so
as your friend. I'm not encouraging you with that.
Let's go.
okay. So there's not nothing else you want to say about Isle of Dogs?
No.
No.
Clearly we liked it.
Good film. Yeah, no, it was a good film. You guys should go and watch it. Although if you've not seen it, then why are you listening to
Yeah,
this? You
and
know
jump
what I mean?
into the Wes Anderson back
Oh.
catalogue if you liked it, while I smash stuff in the room.
Anyway, I'll end it on that note. So thank you very much for listening. If you like this, then please check out previous episodes of Tripod Talk and subscribe to us on whatever platform you are listening to this on. I have been Matt Lidston. I've been joined by my wonderful co-host, Miss Sophie Ellis,
Bye.
and Mr. Adil Anwar.
See ya.
And I shall see you, well, we shall see you in the next one.
No.
See ya.